Welcome to No Fun Channel. I'm Felix, and this is sci-fi shows I think they should remake. Next up was the short-lived TV show The Highwayman. It premiered September 20th, 1997 and ran until March 6, 1988 for 9 episodes, and that includes the pilot. It stars Sam J. Jones as the Highwayman, or Highway as they called him on the show. Some of you may recognize him. He also played Flash Gordon. And then his sidekick was Mark Jacko Jackson. On the show, he was known as Jetto. Now, some of you may recognize his name if you follow Australian rules football. He was a famous Australian rules football player. And also, for most Americans, he was known as the Energizer guy. His catchphrase was, "Get energized." Jane Badler, she played Miss Taina Withrope. I'm butchering names. But some of you may recognize her from V. She played Diana. And then we have Tim Russ. He played DC Montana. Most of you probably recognize him from Star Trek Voyager as Tuvok. And the older generation recognizes him from Spaceballs, the guy that couldn't find what they were looking for. Claudia Christian of Babylon 5 actually had his part originally. In the pilot, she was his contact, and they were very flirtatious in it. The only thing I can come up with is that they just didn't like the aspect of the two characters, so they changed it to him. Now, with all these names and talent on the show, you would think this show would have done great, but unfortunately it didn't. Like I said, it only ran for 9 episodes. The show was supposed to be a cross between Mad Max and Knight Rider, and it just fell short. The idea was that it was geared towards kids and family. It was supposed to be action-packed. It was supposed to be a crime-fighting show with semis. The semis did transform into helicopters. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough. Now, they did bring in another semi. The character Jetto's semi got destroyed, and they brought in a different semi. Now, this all took place in the first episode, and the second semi was nice as well, but again, I'm not sure what the deal was with semis, to be honest with you. But the premise of the show was they were part of a crime-fighting organization, and they traveled the highways helping people and fighting crime. As a kid, when I watched this show, I actually liked it, mainly because of semis. Not just because it had semis in it, but because the semis transformed. I thought it was interesting when the semis transformed into a helicopter. Now, the other semi was nice looking, but there was really, I don't remember anything special about it. Like, it didn't transform into anything. It just detached the back of the trailer and took off. It was like a hybrid trailer semi-car thing, which was interesting, but I don't really remember anything special about it. Like I said, then the whole premise was they were a crime-fighting organization going around fighting crime. Now, the only mystery really about the show was the main character, the Highwayman. We really don't have much about him. We don't know his real name. They just call him Highway. And I think that was supposed to be part of the show. It's like we probably won't be fed bits and pieces of the character. And it just never got a chance to do that. I will point out one thing. The semi that Jetto ended up having actually was used in Power Rangers Time Force. So it did get some more use after the TV show. And what's funny is, even though there was only 9 episodes, this show actually ended up airing in multiple countries in syndication for quite some time. And like I said, the main draw for me as a kid was the semis transforming and the way they looked. There weren't real semis like that in real life. I do know the helicopter semi has been repurposed, and I think it's a tattoo shop somewhere, or at least one of the semis that was used for the show. And let's be honest, the acting wasn't the best. Even Sam Jones knows, I get the sense that Sam Jones knows his acting's not the best. But he puts his best foot forward. And Jacko is not really known for his acting. I think he just went for it as well. But with the other two characters, they were acting. And I think it was just a bad combination overall. I do feel like there is something there that the show could have been more. And even with Claudia Christian, her part, I vaguely remember the pilot, and I don't even remember her being in it, to be honest with you. I remember when I went back and saw the pilot, I was like, I remember these scenes, but I don't remember her being in it. That's how quick she was in it. She wasn't throughout the show. She was here and there. And the show, even though it was supposed to be like a Mad Max, Knight Rider hybrid show, there wasn't like blood and gore and a lot of killing going on. There was a lot of action and fighting, but overall they kept it tame because, like I was saying, it's geared towards family and kids. And with this show, I wasn't connected to the characters like I have been with other shows. So if they were to bring this back, I would just start over, a whole new cast. And I might actually ditch the semis. The semis did not play that big of a role. I think the whole idea of the Highwayman is that he was a semi-driver. I mean, if they want to keep that aspect, I get it. They don't necessarily need the semis. If they still want the vehicles to transform, they can still have them transform. But I wouldn't go over top with too overboard with having them transform, because for the special effects, it was practical special effects basically. The canopy opened up, the back of the trailer opened up, and they obviously had different vehicles, and they showed things connecting, coming together. And then it was cut to a fully assembled helicopter and sitting on this platform. So there wasn't a lot of like CGI stuff going on back then. This was actually practical special effects. And honestly, I think they should go that route again if they use the vehicles transforming. Make it realistic. Like, how would you transform this vehicle realistically to fly or go on water or something like that? And one way I was thinking is the cartoon Mask. There was a cartoon called Mask where they had vehicles that transformed, and now the vehicles didn't transform into like multiple things. They went from one vehicle to another, and that was it. Which is what Highwayman did. So if they still wanted to transform to some kind of flying vehicle, they could still do that. And as for the second semi, I would like to see it transform too. Like I said, even though the second semi was at the time cool looking, I would like to see it do more than just unhitches the trailer and drive off. Have it turn into a boat or I don't know, something else. Just have it do more than just that. But yeah, I feel like there was something there with this show. I wouldn't necessarily make this like a detective show, but I would definitely keep that Knight Rider feel in the sense that they were fighting crime. So keep that where they're still fighting crime, and have it that, they don't have to have the Highwayman be the brains of the operation, but don't have him be stupid, of course. But, he has his contacts, he has his boss, he has his sidekick. Keep all those aspects. Keep it a team thing where the Highwayman's not doing it by himself. And I wouldn't necessarily gender swap on this. I mean, they could, like with Tim's character, they could gender swap that character like they did for the pilot to the TV show. But yeah, I think they should. So I would say they would need to focus on the writing and the acting and the action scenes, update everything. And again, not necessarily gender swap. They could, but with this one I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't gender swap the Highwayman, at least not that character. And the main reason I would still also keep the sidekick a man too is I don't want to have them do that stereotype where you have a man and woman and they fall in love. Of course, now they do it with man, woman, woman, but I don't want them making the partners fall in love. It's not necessary. I would have it that they're just partners. And I would avoid that whole underlying sexual tension thing too. A lot of times it doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me. But yeah, if they gave this show a second chance, I would definitely just recast everyone. Now, all the actors are still alive, so they can still have them filter in here and there, pop in as a guest character or something. But I would start over. I would focus on the writing. I would focus on the storyline, what they wanted to do with it. Because I also got a sense of they didn't know what to do with the show. You got to kind of get that. Even though it was only on for 9 episodes, it kind of felt like they didn't have a direction. I think they were just going for it in those 9 episodes. And I don't know if they knew they had 9 episodes, but if they knew they had 9 episodes, they should have went for it in the sense of make sure they could tell a story in those 9 episodes. It may have worked better if they'd done that. Because one of the things, there are short-lived shows that only get like 6 episodes or 9 episodes, and they can tell a story in a short amount of time. So if that's what it takes, tell the story in a short amount of time, go for it. Make sure you got the whole story flushed out, ready to go. And because like with the Highwayman, you don't know much about the Highwayman, and I'm thinking that was probably going to be, they were going to try to pepper things throughout the show, giving you background, but it never happened. So let's say the show was scheduled to get 12, they got 9, so that means they didn't do what they needed to do. So that's definitely why I say focus on the writing, get the story fleshed out ahead of time, and make sure you got actors that want to act. Because like I said, Sam and Jacko, I think both realize they're not high caliber serious actors, but they can get work because people like seeing them. They have fun. They're fun people to watch. But for this show, I think they needed more serious actors, and I think it would have worked. Well, that's my take on remaking The Highwayman. You guys take care.